Hi parents, and welcome to my webinar, The 5 Things Colleges Don't Want You to Know About Admissions. If you're like most parents, you just want your child to get into the best schools possible, and all you're trying to do is make the right decisions. The problem is that there's an unbelievable amount of information out there, and most of it is contradictory, misleading, hard to follow, or just plain wrong. If that wasn't the case, why would there be over 12,000 books on Amazon and over a billion results on Google telling parents the best way to improve their children's applications? This inconsistent flood of college information is out of control, and it's only getting worse. So what can you do as a parent to make sure you're making the right decisions? Well, the success I have in my SAT tutoring career comes from a very simple philosophy of mine. Start with the basic principles, and the specifics will take care of themselves. The specifics might be a little bit more appealing or more interesting. For instance, what to wear to your interview, or is it better to say I'm Caucasian or other in my application? Which, by the way, there are thousands of articles about online. But the solid, consistent college application principles are vastly more useful and always more reliable. Well, after spending my entire career in the test prep and college consulting industry, working closely with hundreds of students one-on-one and guiding their application processes, and learning the inside secrets of the world's most in-demand and successful college consultants, I've put together a list of 5 secrets and guidelines that, if followed, will change the entire way you approach this process and lead to an easier, more successful, and less confusing college journey. I warn you in advance, these will not make me popular with colleges. Admissions committees and PR departments definitely do not want you to know any of this stuff. But if you do, you'll be a step ahead of everyone else in the game. Here's the first big rule. Colleges are selfish. Yes, I know, they're nonprofit organizations and they're institutions of higher learning, and they're beautiful and they're necessary for our society to function. But they're also very, very selfish. So what do colleges want? Just a few things, really. The first, money. Colleges want money. Money leads to better classes, more buildings, bigger campuses, bigger name instructors, better football coaches, you name it. If a college has more money, it becomes a better college. Well, there are only 3 ways that colleges make money. The first is tuition. We're going to get back to that later in point number 2. For now, just know that tuition is a big revenue generator, and colleges have a very sneaky way of making sure they get it, even if they're quote-unquote need blind. The second way they get money? Donations. And how do colleges get donations? By having rich graduates. Herein lies a serious truth. If colleges don't think their graduates are going to be rich, they're less likely to admit them. So how do colleges figure out whether their graduates are going to be rich? Well, we'll get to that in point number 3. Finally, colleges can make money through what I'll call peripheral sources. Research grants, copyrights, television rights for their sports programs, etc. Again, in point number 3, I'll show you how colleges leverage their admission strategies to ensure that they collect this money too. So, just like almost anyone else in the world, colleges want more money. And since colleges are selfish, they want the only other thing that every self-interested person in the universe wants: reputation. Colleges want good reputations. The U.S. News and Weekly World Report ranking system is considered gospel by pretty much every parent in the world. Sure, people say that rankings don't matter, but which people are saying that? I'll make a crazy guess. The higher up a college is on the U.S. News and Weekly World Report ranking system, the less likely it is that they're saying the system doesn't matter. So how do colleges improve their reputation and their rankings? With only a few things, really. The average GPA of their incoming students, the average SAT scores of their incoming students, the amount that their average graduate donates to the school, see a pattern developing here? Class sizes, and by the way, more money equals less need to stuff classes. Average exiting salary and employment rate of their graduates. Average percentage of graduate acceptance to top-tier grad schools. Research grants and accolades awarded. In other words, the rich get richer because the more grants and accolades they get, the more money they get. And lastly, the quality of their teachers, staff, and resources. And by the way, guess what buys really high-quality staff and resources? Money. So how does this rule help you improve your college application? But understand something very simple. If your application helps a school's reputation, or helps it to earn more money, and preferably both, you have a better chance of getting in. If you don't like the idea that colleges are selfish, you probably want to stop watching this video right now, because it gets a lot worse. However, if you want the reality and a better chance of admission, keep watching. So now you know that colleges are selfish, and they want money and better reputations. So what's the second dirty little secret most colleges have? Well, remember how I said that colleges wanted to admit more students who could afford tuition, but they're also quote unquote need blind? Well, how do they make that happen? How do they let people in while also ensuring that the people they let in have as much money as possible? Rule number 2. Most colleges recommend steps that have most people starting too late, hence giving a massive advantage to people in the know. And by in the know, I mean people with money. I've worked with pro bono with community centers around the world. I've also worked with some of the most successful, most affluent people in the world on a one-on-one basis. Want to know the difference? Affluent people start earlier, make better strategic decisions, and pay top dollar for insider advice. Talk to your average guidance counselor at any high school, and he'll tell you to start gearing up for college around junior year. That's not what affluent people do. I have clients paying for their freshmen to get SAT tutoring. And guess what? That's a really good idea. The sooner you start prepping for this thing, the more time you have to get ready, improve your scores, get it out of the way, and then focus on the other application issues when junior and senior year roll around. So yes, college admissions are need blind. They admit people based on their grades, their scores, and their overall applications without looking at their finances. But guess what? Who has the best scores, the best grades, and the best applicants? The people who have started improving them the earliest. And guess who starts improving them the earliest? On average, people who have paid for insider information and started early. This is something that reflects somewhat poorly on colleges. They'll tell you that they simply choose students based on qualifications, but what they don't tell you is that the students with insider information, and hence who are more likely to be able to pay full tuition and make donations, are almost always more qualified, because they start earlier. So you know colleges are a bit selfish, care about their money and their reputations, and they set the system up to favor those in the know. Well, you might say, maybe I don't have the scores, but when they see my child's overall application, they'll let him in regardless. Well, this goes right to secret number 3. Colleges don't even look at most people's applications. Let me ask you, what makes the most sense between the following 2 options? Read an applicant's essay, his recommendations, his accolades, watch his extra materials, and then find out that he has a terrible SAT score? Or see that an applicant's SAT scores and grades aren't good enough, then toss the application in the trash without reading anything else? Sadly, the answer is always the latter. By using metrics like grades and test scores to cull applications before reviewing them, colleges save themselves the money it would require to hire the people necessary to look at every application. So you'll never hear, Johnny is an amazing kid, and even though he has terrible SAT scores, he's still good enough to get in. You'll hear, applicant 8674 has low SAT scores, followed by, which is his application getting thrown in the trash. If you don't have the metrics, it doesn't matter how good of a person your child is. No one will ever find out. The only exception is when your child is a special case, which we'll talk about in number 5. So you know the first 3 big secrets. Colleges are selfish and want more money in rankings. They set up the system to favor people who start early and toss out most applications without even looking at them. The 4th secret flies in the face of conventional wisdom and is extremely important to understand if you want to tie this all together. Number 4, colleges don't want well-rounded students. They want well-rounded classes. If there's one extremely prevalent and extremely harmful myth about colleges, it's that they want to fill their ranks with a bunch of Renaissance men who are pretty good at a bunch of stuff. In other words, they want well-rounded students. This could not be further from the truth. Parents run around like maniacs because of this mistaken belief, making their kids join 10 clubs, play 3 sports that they hate, take classes they should never be in the first place just to make them look more impressive, and on and on and on. But remember, colleges want money and prestige, and people who are pretty good at lots of things don't bring colleges either. What colleges want are experts. Experts make money and they build reputations. Colleges want unreal football players and don't really care how well they do on the academic side of things. They could still be pros regardless. Colleges want insanely brilliant scientists, the people who are going to get them patents, get accepted to MIT for grad school, and enhance their biology departments. Colleges want incredible writers, future published authors, famous journalists, and students who will immediately contribute to in-school publications. These specialists are the people who the colleges can bank on. They'll do all the things we previously discussed that affect college rankings and coffers. They become famous, they get into big grad schools, they make lots of money, they attract better teachers and coaches, the list goes on. If you're spending a lot of time making your student well-rounded, stop. You get into colleges very easily by doing just two things. 1. Making sure your grades and scores are high enough to get your application looked at. And 2, making sure your child has a clear, powerful specialty that shines through his or her application when colleges do take a look. Do these two things and you're on your way. If you're not doing either, you're not playing into the selfish needs of colleges and you're not going to get in. This is just how it works. The romantic vision painted by many admissions committees speaks to the contrary, but all evidence points to this being the case. Colleges crave specialists, but specialists will often have poor overall grades or test scores, and colleges don't look at applications if they don't have high grades or test scores. Incredible athletes, student actors, children of mega donors, published authors, and other highly sought-after student specialists might not have the time to get incredible scores or grades, since they're too focused on their specialties. So how do colleges find out about these people in the first place? Rule number 5. Colleges allow hyper-specialists to skip the regular admissions process, then use students with high grades and scores to justify their admission. If you want any evidence that the application system is messed up, this is it. Recruited athletes, children of huge donors, published authors, and other clear mega specialists have liaisons that speak to admissions officers directly, coaches, agents, consultants, and others. Since colleges already want these students as a default, they almost always get in. If your child gets incredible SAT scores, schools can use him or her to let in other specialists. As sordid as this sounds, this is a massive advantage. The higher your child's scores are, the more appealing he or she is as an admissions tool, which is exactly what you want your child to be. 1. Colleges are selfish. 2. Colleges want money and reputation enhancing students. 3. Colleges gain money and reputation by accepting qualified, i.e. rich students who start early, and by accepting specialists who need other students with high grades and scores to justify their admission. If you start early, get high SAT scores as soon as possible, then focus on your specialization and your grades, you'll be playing all your cards right and using these secrets to your advantage. I realize that this presentation didn't paint the most flattering picture of the college admissions process, but by understanding the 5 secrets I just showed you, you'll be able to make the right decisions and give your child the best chances possible of getting accepted to his or her dream school. I hope you'll take what you learned today and put it to use. Rather than signing up for boring, overpriced classes, underqualified tutors, or ineffective online software programs, remember, the smartest applicants are the ones who start early. Get your scores up and start playing the college game effectively. I wish you the best of luck in your college journey and beyond,